Margaret, I want to ask the Minister for Education and Skills. He satisfies himself that the provision of the Education Act 1998, paragraph 18(1) is not placed on unnecessarily administered financial burden on national schools. If he satisfies himself that the insistence by the organisation national schools must submit accounts online being accounted as opposed to school treasury, thus incurring a significant fee, is not placed on unnecessary administration financial burden on national schools, and to make a statement on the matter.
Thank the Deputy for the question. It is important to ensure that the appropriate governance arrangements are in place for transparency and accountability in the management of public money. Therefore, all boards of management of schools are obliged to comply with Section 18 of the Education Act 1998 and the arrangements set out in my department's circulars 0060/2017 and 0002/2018 in relation to the operation of the Financial Services Support Unit. This includes the submission of accounts to the FSSU by an external auditor accountant who has a current practising certificate, professional indemnity insurance and is registered with the prescribed accountancy body in the state. I am satisfied that this is the appropriate mechanism by which schools can comply with the requirement to make their accounts available for inspection by me in accordance with the Education Act 1998. The independence of an external accountant auditor provides assurances to the Board and the State that the accounts are prepared in line with good accounting practice and standards. The use of the standard templates provided by the FSSU will help to reduce costs associated with the employment of an external accountant. These costs may be met from the capitation funding provided by my department. In Budget 2020, I was pleased to have been able to provide for a further 2.5% increase in standard capitation funding for primary and post-primary schools that will apply from the start of 2020-2021 school year. This is in addition to the 5% increase that applied from the start of the 2019-2020 school year.
Minister, I was contacted by a trusted constituent of mine who is a bookkeeper himself and an accountant and has been the treasurer of his local school's board of management for 12 years. They have always been fully compliant with PAYE VAT to ensure value for money while keeping costs for parents to a minimum so the children's education costs are as low as possible. However, by their own admission, there is one area where they have not been fully compliant, as they do not fully conform to all provisions of the Act referenced in my previous question. The reason for this is simple. The school receives around 6,000 capitation fees over the years, and the treasurer of this school has made inquiries as to the cost of certification or other costs. The lowest they could find for certification of the accounts was €350, while others were in the region of €1,000. This treasurer maintains that spending money on something that is quite simply a box-ticking exercise which produces nothing tangible, while running the school on a shoestring budget is quite simply a waste of valuable resources. As for getting the accounts audited, that would require an outlay of 20% of the annual school funding on the audit itself. Minister, with these administrative costs, are we placing an undue financial burden on smaller schools which are operating off of smaller budgets? I appreciate the need for oversight and produced ministers, but this has to be some sort of middle ground that can be found.
Yeah, look, I always value people's ideas and suggestions, and certainly your constituent has gone through the system and contacted a number of public representatives with the same observation. But one of the things that's really, really important here is the two cornerstones are transparency and accountability. And the FSSU is acting in line with the requirements of my department. These circulars clearly state it is the responsibility of the Board of Management to ensure financial accounts are submitted to the FSSU by its external accountant auditor, and that this will satisfy the requirement under Section 18 of the Education Act 1998 for schools to make available their accounts for inspection. And I do understand your point as well about the pressures that we do currently have in relation to capitation. It was a reduction of about 11% in 2011, came back 5% last year, 2.5% this year. It's not where I want it to be. This budget does not reflect where I want capitation to be at, and it's something that I'm going to continue to pursue.
Final comment. Again, Minister, I appreciate what you're saying back to me, and all I'm trying to say is small schools in particular in rural Ireland, maybe two, 3-class teacher schools, and this is an extra cost. You've said it already, 6,000 of a capitation grant. You know, to get a proper audit done, they're talking about 1,200 is the minimum they could get. That's 20% of the 6,000. There's there's an accountant on the board, a qualified accountant who is willing to do the books free of charge and willing to submit them to the department, could that not be looked at? That it's not. I know it's in the fly-by-night auditor or anything like that. And I agree about accountability and has to be accounted. Everything has to be accounted for, and money has to be well spent. But could, in a small case like that, where they save €1,200 just to get a stamp on the request, get a stamp to send it in, where there's an auditor actually there or an accountant there already doing voluntary work and willing to send it in. That's why I'm asking the Minister, could some system be brought into place where that could be used, and maybe the department then have an audit maybe every 5 years check on this and on these accounts. No one's talking about deviations and money or anything like that. This is about saving money for local schools that are under pressure.
Yeah, look, no doubt, Deputy, you wouldn't be raising this today if you thought there was no value in raising it. I mean, there is value in raising a thing that will take the pressure off individual schools. But I'm going to say something now, which is, it's not policy. I'm saying it as a minister. I'm looking at the future. But you know, you look at the collection of small schools that you would have even within one parish, small primary schools. The Small School Symposium will look at ways of looking at more effective running of schools in the future as well. And as you say, each of these individual schools now have to go single line, slipstream right into the department. It's costing every single school the same amount. So look, this is where we need to get in politics, where we're big enough and mature enough as a political system to say that if there's ways of doing things better and in a more proactive way and in a more competent way, and in a saving way, so schools, you know, that have to fill their tanks or have to pay for the gas or have to look after the bread and butter issues, that I think this, this will be a conversation piece for the Small School Symposium, and I would ask you maybe to formally contact me on that issue as you want this raised through that forum.